Hello, growth group leaders, and welcome to the next week's video on how to be a really good growth group leader. Each of these videos I'm trying to share just a little nuggets here and there on how we can improve our growth groups. And this week I want to focus in on the question of what is the big picture goal of your group? Every time you meet together, you have little picture goals like accomplishing the goals lesson and going through the material, praying for a certain individual, maybe his or her upcoming doctor's appointment or big test, and enjoying some snacks that someone brought and having some laughs along the way. But those are all small picture goals. We also have a big picture goal. Let me give you a short illustration to lead us into answering that question. When I sit down with Dawson, he's getting to the age of having homework now. We have little picture goals of trying to learn what is in his homework, trying to understand the addition or subtraction homework, or to learn the vocabulary words and the spelling test words. But more than that, I want over time Dawson to continue to have the big picture lesson of knowing the fact that Daddy loves him and cares for him and supports him with unconditional love and grace. That's the big picture goal, that he would grow as a person more than just learning what is in his homework. The same thing could be said about our growth groups. Really, the big picture goal is that we are helping people practice being reconciled to God and to one another. 2 Corinthians 5 speaks about the fact that we as Christians, and even as growth group leaders specifically, have been given the ministry of reconciliation. Let me read this passage for us real quickly. This is 2 Corinthians 5, 17 through 20. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has come, the new is here. All this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them, and he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors. In other words, as Christians, and specifically here as growth group leaders, we represent Christ in this. We are Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. So that really is our big picture goal, to create an environment where people are being reconciled to God and to one another. That relationship with one another is important in this small group context. So very briefly, let me give you 3 things that I think are practical ways of promoting this kind of environment. First of all, to create a safe place for people to share and be vulnerable. I think that starts with us as leaders, to set the example and the tone along these lines. Don't be afraid to share about what's really going on in your life. It's okay to be open and to be vulnerable. In fact, if you are very guarded and closed off with what's really going on in your life, you will never really foster a growth group of vulnerability and honesty and support. Number 2, show that everyone is important and valuable by how you treat everyone. And that means just making sure everyone is included. That you encourage people to participate in the discussion, you give people an opportunity to pray, you have people read or bring snacks, just include everyone. In fact, one way to really promote this, that I think is a real practical, helpful thing, is take turns having people share their own testimony. Have them take time to share about what God has done in their life. And when you give them an opportunity to share, it gives you an opportunity to just affirm them and to show that they are important and valuable. And then the third thing, and I think this is in a sense the most important, is to practice prayer with one another, to pray with one another. More than just for health needs, because sometimes that's what we focus on. But I'm going to encourage us to pray deeply for one another. Pray for their spiritual lives. Pray for their relationships and their marriage and their family. Pray for their time with the Lord. Pray for their witness at work and their ministry at church. Now, if you wait for prayer requests along those lines, chances are you will never pray for those type of things for individuals. You don't need those to be given in request form. Just, those are things they have need for. Just pray it. Just as you go around and pray for individuals in the group, just pray for them and where they're at spiritually and what is going on within their lives that affect their relationship with Christ. Guide them in praying for forgiveness when that is an issue. And then allow a good amount of time to pray for one another. And I know that's easier said than done when you're trying to cover the material. But prayer is so important for us to create the type of group that is practicing reconciliation with God and with one another. So it's okay not to cover all the questions if we allow time to really pray for one another in deep ways, in ways that really speak to what is going on in our hearts and our lives. Okay, God bless you this week as you meet as a growth group. Next week we will be off for the concert of prayer, and just encourage everyone to come to the concert of prayer. I encourage you to be there yourselves, and have a great week. God bless.